Welcome in. It's our Friday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. We come to you each and every day here from Monday through Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. On KDSJ 479. And really excited to end this week with you guys here on KDSJ. It's been a great week. I want to bring in my co-host, Demetrius. TGIF, D. No, he's not talking to me right now. He's got so much going on behind the production part of it. He just doesn't have time to chat with us. But
I had to get my tunes right. You know, I can't get that music until I got my music right.
Saw all over me, huh? Well, we're going to play media availability with Coach Mike Neighbors, girls head basketball coach here at the University of Arkansas. Met with Mike earlier today as he gave post-game talk of last night's SEC conference road loss at Missouri, 71-53. Ladies go to 10-5, I believe 1-2 in conference. But it's one of those things. Toward the latter part of that game, they had kind of what the men did. Demetrius got down by a large margin, and then that latter part of the third and pretty much for the better part of the fourth quarter, made a game of it. Unfortunately, was not able to make up that large difference. But I saw a lot of fight, and you'll hear that when we play audio from today's media press conference. And Coach Neighbors looked ahead to Vanderbilt. Arkansas men's basketball will be taking on the LSU Tigers tomorrow at Bud Walton Arena. Why am I so off?
It's not football season. It's coming though.
Just so much going on in football. You got Dan Enos leaving his post as the incumbent to Mike Locksley as Alabama's offensive coordinator. Has been reported today he will be taking that same position with Manny Diaz as the Miami Hurricanes offensive coordinator. Najee Harris, the presumable starter at running back, with Josh Jacobs announcing that he'll be foregoing earlier today for his senior year for the NFL draft. Also, too, the graduation of Damian Harris. So Najee was sitting in a position, Demetrius, that's kind of shocking for people to, not be able to, want to play that senior year. And I don't know who we have. Should we answer this? We'll let them call back. It's that important. You know it. The callers that we have sometimes. People just call. I don't know why. But I guess, somebody wants to talk to us, Demetrius, but we'll let them get back with us here shortly. But we're going to step away real quick. I want to get this audio as we're going to play in parts Coach Neighbors' interview in its duration. But we're going to give you about 3 or 4 minutes here real quick and open it up. And this is what Coach Neighbors has to say post Missouri loss and looking into this second SEC home game versus the Vanderbilt Lady Commodores. Here's Mike. A little more. Not just ready. Demetrius, I'm just going too fast. It's Friday. It's been a great week, and I guess I'm kind of like Coach A and the basketball team Wednesday night. I just can't get things flowing, here in the early start of the show. But I'm a late gamer, and I'll make my adjustments here as the show progresses on. I'll get better. But we caught up with Coach Mike Neighbors. This is a program, Demetrius, while we get audio for Coach Neighbors ready. I feel like each and every time out, this team gets better. And finally got audio, and here's what Coach Neighbors has to say.
Is it important for your team to have a short memory after last night's game? Yeah, and they do have. I think they've proven that, ability to bounce back. We've used the word self-aware and resilience an awful lot, and I think that's not something you lose. I think we showed it last night. We had a terrible first half and a great second half. So not only do I think they can do it today, I think they did it last night. Bounced back, had a really good effort. Just to make shots in the first half. Got better shots, so we made more shots. And then when we make shots, we defend a little bit better, and all that stuff goes down. But, I think we have every right in the world to expect a resilient effort in practice today and game on Sunday.
What does Vanderbilt bring at you? Obviously, played a pretty good game against A&M.
Well, they've got a short roster, so the kids play with a lot of confidence that I'm not coming out of the game. And it's a neat thing as a player. And I think that gives you a lot of confidence to play. Their roles are very clearly identified. There's not a lot of looking over your shoulders. And that creates a comfort level. Now, it creates a burden at the same time, but that's always a challenge. This is a group that does exactly what they know they can do. They play to their strengths. They're not going to beat themselves. You have to beat them. And for us, anytime their top scorers are their post players, that's a concern. They get 27 a night from their post players, and they throw it in there a whole lot. So that is always a concern to a team like us that plays four guards.
Is this roughly the same team you saw, twice at the end of the year last year?
I don't think so, no, because of the kids that left their program and graduated. But similar attack, obviously same style, but you got different parts doing it. They're sitting at 0-3. I think they're going to come in here with a real sense of urgency. I think they, like we, look around at where you're selected in the preseason polls, and there's somebody that's close to us. So although it won't receive national attention as being a big marquee game, man, for us it's as big as it gets.
Yeah, that's something we talked about a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
These games that I guess the way you put it, you're grouped together somewhere at the bottom.
Yep.
So it's games. They're pretty large for both teams, right?
Massive. Yeah, and we reiterate that to our players, everybody that'll listen, that for us and for Vanderbilt, this is as big as Mississippi State versus Georgia was last night. Now, it's not going to be on the ESPN ticker, and it's not going to – but in our worlds, which is, all that matters to us and to Vanderbilt, this is as big as it gets because it's a game they look at and go, somebody grouped around us, somebody that we split with last year, opportunity. And I think you've got to approach it like that. If you don't look at that in our league, you can get frustrated, you can get demoralized, you can get whatever adjective you want to use real quick, real fast, if you allow that to creep in.
Mike, since welcome back. It's our Friday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. We'll be playing you, snippets of Coach Mike Neighbors, his press conference with us here in the media, to talk about last night's disappointing loss as they fall to 1-2 to the hands of the Missouri Tigers, 71-53 in Columbia, Missouri. They'll be hosting Vanderbilt Lady Commodores, a game that I think this team, is expected to. By the time we lay our head down on Sunday, this basketball team should, for all intents and purposes, be 2-2 in league play, and just continuing to build on what Coach Neighbors and his staff is starting to put together there at Arkansas. Demetrius, I want to talk a little bit about this situation with the transfer portal. To me, this has become the free agent market of college football. That's what this is, and it's in all sports. It's not just stuck to the men's side, which a lot of that's happening. But women, I saw a little bit of transferring taking place as Coach Deifel and the Women's Razorback program was able to get a young lady from Bethune-Cookman, also a young lady from Arizona State, to join the women's program. Is this going to be something that's going to eventually be a problem going forward for collegiate athletics with allowing the youth in collegiate sports to be able to just move around? We're not talking dollars and cents, but if something doesn't go right, well, I'm out of here. Is that what we're heading to?
I think they should. I'm going to speak for the athletes. The coaches do it. They do it every day. As soon as there's a situation or they don't get the money that they want from the university, they leave. So I feel like as a student, I shouldn't be obligated to stay here if the situation isn't best for me. And I'm the student athlete. I'm the one that has to go to work every day. I'm the one taking the short end of the stick as far as not getting the financial upfront money that I really need as a college student. So at the end of the day, I'm always going to take the student athlete side when it comes to making decisions what's best for the student.
When you talk about the transfer rule, I see both sides of the argument. But I want to make a note. Let's put this out here real quick, Demetrius. Jalen Hurts is not going to be at Arkansas.
Oh, no.
That's not even entertaining.
No.
I'm seeing a lot of social media trying to play the what if. I'd be shocked if he came. But Coach Anderson made a statement in his availability with us a few days ago when the subject came up about Jordan Phillips. You can't be surprised by anything these kids do from 18 to 22. No, Jalen Hurts would not be someone if you associated transfer with Arkansas and Arkansas having good chances. I mean, in the real world, not really, but you just never know what these kids, look for when making these types of decisions. As I follow recruiting over the last 7 to 10 years, relationships not only with the coaching staffs, but bonds that these kids build throughout their careers with particular kids that may end up at their destination. As I've noticed that's really big. Kids recruiting kids. You look at Arkansas on social media. Colin Clay was a real big recruiter with this 19 class, as was Connor Nolan. You see kids recruiting to their classes, and I think that's going to only get better across the country. That's what I'm noticing, and that's only due to the fact, Demetrius, that there's so much social media, and social networking at the hands of these young men and young ladies, at this young age.
I 100% agree. Like I said, I think college is one of the biggest decisions that a young student athlete and a young adult in general already has to make. So, like I said, I'm always for the student doing what's best for them, because I think at the end of the day, it's a business, right?
Right.
Correct?
Right.
So if it's a business, you're always going to do what's best for your company and your corporation. So I correlated the same thing with life. If this is the best decision for this individual, and sometimes he's not committed to the fan base, he's just not loyal, but okay, when ADs get up and leave, nobody says anything.
Right.
When the chancellor decides to leave and go find a better job, nobody says anything. But as soon as a student athlete decides, hey, I want to take my talent somewhere where I know I can get playing time and I know I can develop and strive towards the career that I have, people kind of go against the grain with it.
Right. And that's the question that we have for our listeners and viewers. If you want to chime in, you can do so. Hit us up, 479-601-7400. What's your feeling? Is the transfer rule with kids being able to transfer mid-season, end of season, is that going to be a problem? I mean, is it something that you agree with, you disagree? Chime in and let us know. That's at 601-7400. That's the number to get you in, area code 479. We're going to talk about this in depth as we continue on, but I want to touch base briefly with a topic. Former Coach Dan Enos. You look at Alabama, he just left a chance to be the the offensive coordinator for the Alabama Crimson Tide to go to Miami. What is this signifying? Is there a turmoil in Tuscaloosa? Or, it's kind of hard to put your finger on so many things taking place, coming off just a few days ago, the national championship game, being the runner-up, Najee Harris, a guy that, without question, would have been the starting running back for Alabama this upcoming year in 2019. He's decided to move on and look for greener pastures. What's going on in Tuscaloosa, Demetrius? Is this, as I said, with the basketball team here in Fastest 40, is there concern, or it's just part of it? When you're at that level, and you made a good point, when you recruit so many top athletes, this is to be expected. Some of them are going to move on from greener pastures.
Yeah, I really can't put my finger on it. That's definitely going to be something that I ask Stephen M. when he comes on how he feels and what's the status going down in Tuscaloosa. But really, I think it's one of those things when you're the king of the hill for so long,
right,
and you're on top. The only way to go is really down. I think that's really what you're starting to see at the University of Alabama. I think they've reached that kind of threshold peak level to where there's not much for them to obtain. I mean, they're national champions every other year. That's nothing to really complain about. They've been to the playoffs since the college football playoffs started.
Right.
That's nothing to complain about. So it's like, as a university, what more can we do besides win another national championship? And sometimes your program can get stagnated. That was another thing that Nick Saban even complained about during the season. He spoke about how he felt like the fans were being pampered and they've been kind of given the world, and now they don't even know what to do with it as a fan base, because now they're uncomplacent. They don't know how to take to what's given. They don't even stay to the end of the game. So again, I think it's just one of those things where you've been good for so long, you don't know what else to do.
I'm a big believer in cycles. It may be in business, it could be in athletics, but they happen in cycles. And I think Alabama has had a 12-year run, pretty much about an 11-year run that could be something I think that will not be rivaled. Coach Saban has recruited at a level that not even the Bear, and we know how revered Bear Bryant is, and folklore there for the Alabama faithful. But I think when you saw, to me, what I saw Monday night was the changing of the guard, the big dog program. And I go back to the same thing in 2009 when Nick Saban and his ball club was able to knock off the Florida Gators in the SEC, or was it 2010 or around about in there, where you knew there was a new big dog in the SEC. It goes into case in point. You go back with Florida State. Florida beats them when Steve Spurrier's the head coach. So things really happen in cycles. And also, too, Demetrius, I want to go a little bit deeper into this. The coaching staff and so many changes over the last 5 or 6 years with that staff. Eventually, the turnover will eventually catch up to you. They were talking, and as we were watching the national championship game, and I've had a chance to, we had Javion Cohen, teammate of Justin Ross out of Phoenix City. And that was one of the main things with Justin when coming down to picking Auburn over, or picking Clemson over Auburn in Alabama. Particularly, it was Alabama-Clemson. It came down to just the continuity and turnover of the staff. You look at Dabo Swinney, and it hadn't had a lot of turnover. Chad went on to be a head coach, but for the most part, he's kept his staff intact. 3 of those guys over the last 4 years have been up for the Broyles Award for the top assistant in all of college football. All 3 of his coordinators, Jeff Scott, Elliott, and Brent Venables. So that shows you, things that are taking place in Clemson, South Carolina. But that's just my personal opinion. I think there's been a changing of the guard. I've said it, and so many people that's listened to our show, Demetrius, have heard me say it, that parity was about to creep in to the SEC, and you could see it in the recruiting world. Alabama, I think, just being Alabama, kids are going to go to that school and be higher-ranked kids than maybe what they really are. You look at the classes that Mack Brown had at Texas, all those top classes at Florida State. Bobby Bowden had the same situation. Based on the school, they've been good so much that you're going to get rankings based on you just going to that school. Maybe not to the potential level, but just you're at that school. So that's all going to play a part. We do know that depth has been a problem, being recruited at linebacker at Alabama. That came and reared its ugly head. Christian Miller was huge in that game, Demetrius, huge. And that's something that, in talking to Stephen M. Smith and Touchdown Hour throughout the season, he had always mentioned that, if they ever get injuries, Pat, an injury here, an injury there on defense, you're going to see the depth issue come into effect. And I think that's what happened. But it's only going to continue to get a lot tighter from the Alabama Crimson Tide. You heard it. A lot of the national coaches felt like this was the weakest staff that Coach Saban has had over the last 5 to 6 years, which speaks volume. You lose your top recruiter, Josh Gaddis. He leaves the job he did with Jerry Jeudy and those wide receivers. Now he's moved on to be the offensive coordinator at Michigan for Jim Harbaugh. He was one of your elite recruiters. So there's just a lot going on in Tuscaloosa, and I'm really curious to see how they respond in this 2019 campaign. But we're going to step away, give you a little bit more. As we said, we're going to give you in portions Coach Mike Neighbors post-game and preview press conference earlier today with us here in the media. Here's what he had to say, and we'll be right back with more talk. If you have any questions, want to chime in about the transfer, is it a bad thing, good thing, do so. You can reach us 601-7400. Here's Coach Neighbors, and we'll be back in a bit. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479.
We used to make shots in the first half. Got better shots, so we made more shots. And then when we make shots, we defend a little bit better, and all that stuff goes down. But, no, I think we have every right in the world to expect a resilient effort in practice today and game on Sunday.
What does Vanderbilt bring at you? Obviously, played a pretty good game against A&M.
Well, they've got a short roster, so the kids play with a lot of confidence that I'm not coming out of the game. And that's it's a neat thing as a player. And I think that gives you a lot of confidence to play. Their roles are very clearly identified. There's not a lot of looking over your shoulders. And that creates a comfort level. Now, it creates a burden at the same time, but that's always a challenge. This is a group that does exactly what they know they can do. They play to their strengths. They're not going to beat themselves. You have to beat them. And for us, anytime their top scorers are their post players, that's a concern. You know, they get 27 a night from their post players, and they throw it in there a whole lot. So that is always a concern to a team like us that plays four guards.
Is this roughly the same team you saw, twice at the end of the year last year?
I don't think so, no, because of the kids that left their program and graduated. But similar attack, obviously same style, but you got different parts doing it. They're sitting at 0-3. I think they're going to come in here with a real sense of urgency. I think they, like we, look around at where you're selected in the preseason polls, and there's somebody that's close to us. So although it won't receive national attention as being a big marquee game, man, for us it's as big as it gets.
Yeah, that's something we talked about a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
These games that I guess the way you put it, you're grouped together somewhere at the bottom. So it's games. They're pretty large for both teams, right?
Massive. Yeah, and we reiterate that to our players, everybody that'll listen, that for us and for Vanderbilt, this is as big as Mississippi State versus Georgia was last night. Now, it's not going to be on the ESPN ticker, and it's not going to, but in our worlds, which is, all that matters to us and to Vanderbilt, this is as big as it gets, because it's a game they look at and go, somebody grouped around us, somebody that we split with last year, opportunity. And I think you've got to approach it like that. If you don't look at that in our league, you can get frustrated, you can get demoralized, you can get whatever adjective you want to use real quick, real fast, if you allow that to creep in.
Mike, since they only play 6 players and they really try and slow it down, is it harder when you get to conference play for an up-tempo team to make a slower team speed up, or how does that tempo work with that?
It is harder, but you can do it, and we do have to just continue to do what we do offensively. We can speed the tempo up defensively. We'll work on that today a little bit. But I'm okay with how they play. If they want to go deep into the shot clock, that's fine, as long as it leads to a defensive rebound, which is an area that we've got to have vast improvement. Even last night, on a night when we didn't shoot it well, if we could have defensive rebounded a little bit, we would have been in that game. Chance to cut it to single digits late in the third period. We miss a box out. The ball goes their way, and they kick it out to an All-American, and she makes a 3. We get another rebound. The kid rips it out of our hands, lays it in, and we foul her. Another 3. So defensive rebounding is the number one area that we'd like to see improvement in. I know we're not going to be good at it. I understand. That's why I don't lose my mind on it. We play 4 guards. We're going to be deficient in defensive rebounding. But what I always look at is, are we attempting more shots? Because normally more rebounds means the other team gets more shots. Well, that's not always the case against us, because we're not going to turn it over as a result of playing 4 guards. So, I don't know, Jerry, you probably have the box score close by, but I think we shot more times than they did last night. Is that right? Did we get more field goal attempts than they? Huh? Yeah. So, again, even though we got out-rebounded by a massive number, I think it was 32-10 at first half, if I remember looking at it right. As long as we're getting quality shots and enough of them by not turning it over, then you can offset that rebounding. But in games against teams like Missouri, if you don't defensive rebound it, they might shoot till they make it.
You had 14 points in the first half and 23 in the fourth quarter. Was it just a matter of shots going down? Did you find better shots? Was there a little better flow?
Yeah, both of those things. We got easier shots, which you're going to make more of. And it gets harder and harder to make a shot when you've missed your first 3 or 4 or 5. They started really loading the paint up, forcing us. I thought we turned down some shots. They saw it on film. We were open. We weren't shooting it when we first caught it. Maybe over-dribbled a little bit last night. But, yeah, it was a factor of that. But, yeah, to score more points I think we scored more points in the third quarter than we did in the first half. It was close. Yeah.
Welcome back to our Friday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. And, we cover Arkansas. We try to be up to the minute with coverage of Razorbacks. But also, too, we love the SEC, and we try to be as time-sensitive and savvy as possible. And a big topic, we just talked about it. There's a lot of things taking place down in Tuscaloosa. And we know who we want to get in contact with for our latest and up-to-the-minute information coming out of Tuscaloosa. Touchdown, Alabama. Stephen M. Smith joins us. Stephen, welcome back to the Hill, my man.
Happy to be back, guys. My phone is ringing like I'm in a drug trap house right now.
That's a good one. Stephen, a lot of things are taking place. Guys are moving on, putting their name in the NFL draft. Coaches moving from positions in Tuscaloosa to positions in Miami, Ann Arbor. Guys saying that they're going to be back for their senior years. How has all this played out in the last 48 hours as you've watched it from your point of view?
Well, Pat, Demetrius, this is crazy right now. I mean, going back to the national championship game, it did not pan out the way Saban and the Tide would have liked it to. You look at an offense that had the Heisman finalist in Tua Tagovailoa, a Fred Biletnikoff Award winner in Jerry Jeudy, a very much improved quarterback in Jalen Hurts, and a boatload of talented backs. And this is an offense that can only put up 16 points and was held scoreless in the second half by Clemson. Nick Saban frustrated. Nick Saban aggravated by that. And as of the last couple of days, we have seen he's cleaning house. Coach Saban definitely cleaning house. Every offensive assistant is gone at this point, with the exception, of Joe Panunzio, who is still the running backs coach right now. But I'm being told he will be moved to an off-field role at a later date. If you look at Coach Loxley in Maryland, Dan Enos, who has now accepted the OC job in Miami, Josh Gaddis at Michigan with Jim Harbaugh, Brent Key, offensive line coach, he's now going back to his alma mater in Georgia Tech. So all the offensive assistants are gone, and for Coach Saban, he's trying to find some different guys that can not only just recruit, but also come in, teach, instruct, and develop. Now, the defensive staff is still in place. Todd Sapoy, Pete Golding, Craig Kulagowski, defensive line coach, and Carl Scott are all still in Tuscaloosa. Does that mean they're out of the woods? Not necessarily. Alabama in conversations with a lot of hot names in the rumor mill right now to replace some of these guys. As of right now, the defensive staff is still in order. In terms of guys declaring for the NFL draft, Quentin Williams, defensive tackle, is gone after a huge season as a first-year starter. Somebody that put up big numbers. We're talking 19.5 tackles for loss, 8 sacks. He's projected a top 5 pick. Jonah Williams, kind of the same deal, a 3-year starter at offensive tackle. He's projected top 5 pick, top 10 pick. Irv Smith Jr. was kind of a shock after 1 year of him starting at tight end, but developed very nicely this season, had over 700 receiving yards and 7 scores, and he's projected to be more than likely a top 15, top 20 pick. Could drop to maybe even top 25, but he's slotted as a first-round guy. And Josh Jacobs, last and not least, he's being looked at between late first round and early second round. So 4 guys: Jacobs, Quentin Williams, Jonah Williams, and the likes of Irv Smith Jr. all declaring for the NFL draft. But the big thing is Pat and Demetrius, a lot of juniors defensively coming back. A lot of guys coming back for Alabama next season on defense. Mac Wilson's coming back. Shaheem Carter, Trayvon Diggs, Anthony Jennings, Raekwon Davis, Deontay Thompson. Big names right there. Returning to the Crimson Tide.
Takes it back 44 yards for the touchdown.
To get done this year, in the 2018 season, which was win a national championship. They refused to leave with the most recent game being their final performance. All of those guys are coming back.
When you look at the football team, Najee Harris was one that had to be surprising, Stephen. I mean, this is a guy, Josh Jacobs announces he's going to forego his senior year. Damian Harris is a graduating senior. All things lined up for Najee to be the starting running back there in Tuscaloosa in 2019 and 2020 had he decided to come back for his senior season. Talk about that, and how surprising was that for this guy, a five-star running back? I think he was the top in the country coming out of his senior year. How big is that when you lose a player that, for the most part, had a pretty good national championship game just a few days ago?
Well, Najee Harris is still here.
Okay.
Najee Harris is still here. I know there was a crazy thing going around Twitter with his account that was actually a fake account. So
I'm glad you cleared that up for us.
Najee Harris is still at the University of Alabama. The thing with him is he's going to be looked at as the featured back for the 2019 season, but also keep your eyes on five-star Trey Sanders coming in out of IMG Academy at 6 feet, 214 pounds. He reminds me a lot of Kenyon Drake. And what I'm being told is Najee and Trey Sanders may split time next year carrying the football. The guy that's kind of on the outside looking in is still Brian Robinson, the four-star from Hillcrest Tuscaloosa High School off of Highway 69 South, a couple of blocks away from the University of Alabama campus. And here's a guy that, once again, Tuscaloosa native, came into that 2017 class along with Najee Harris. And a lot of people feel like he's a bit of a better runner than Harris is. I'm referring to Brian Robinson. So keep your eyes on him and keep your eyes on Jerome Ford, somebody who came into that 2018 signing class, the only back the Crimson Tide brought in for that group. And I've gotten a chance to talk to quite a few players. Jerome Ford growing, Jerome Ford continuing to progress and knowing what he's supposed to do and running tough behind his pads and playing a very physical football and is giving a lot of guys different looks in practice when he's out there. So Alabama's going to continue to have that stable of backs. And while Najee Harris may be looked at as the featured guy, he and Trey Sanders, look for them to split some time next year.
When you look at this offensive staff, as you just mentioned, pretty much every position needs to be filled outside of the running back coach. When you have that much turnover, Stephen, as Coach Saban has had with coaches getting promotions, Lane Kiffin becomes a head coach, McElwain, and the list goes on and on. Dibble moves on last year to be the OC with the Buffalo Bills. You have Pruitt moving on to be the head coach. Kirby Smart. Just a lot of turnover. Bill Napier. These were all guys that were renowned recruiters over the last 6 to 8 years for the Alabama program. Very renowned recruiters from my time following it. Gaddis comes in. You have Loxley, Brent Key were key components to getting this class that's rated tops at the moment together. How do you come back from that, and be able to get so many quality, top-grade recruiters that can fill these spots and do both recruit and develop? Stephen, how's Saban going to be able to take care of those two in a nutshell?
Well, first and foremost, when you look at Saban, Pat, he's got a wide coaching tree. He knows a lot of people around this industry, this field, this profession. So he's going to be talking to a lot of names, and he's already talking to a lot of hot names out there in regards to different coaching spots. So I think the biggest thing for Nick Saban is getting those teachers, getting those instructors. Right. A lot of people put so much on, well, you got to get the kids. You got to recruit the kids. You got to speak the language of these 17, 18, 19-year-old student athletes. And while that's true, at the same time, you have to get those coaches that know what they're doing, and they get down in the ground with these athletes, and they show them how to play their position. I go back to Josh Gaddis for just a moment, and it hurts that he's taking the job at Michigan. But what made him so special this past season, he wasn't just a recruiter at 34 years of age, Pat. This guy was a teacher.
Right.
He got down with Jalen Waddle, with Jerry Jeudy, with Henry Ruggs, with Devontae Smith, and he taught these guys how to run routes, how to push the route out, how to catch the football, how to be tough. He would provide videos on social media. He would provide little pieces of information to show players how to be a dynamic wide receiver. And that was the reason why you had 5 guys in Alabama this past year, with Irv Smith included at tight end, that total over 500 yards receiving, including the guy in Jerry Jeudy, who was a 1,000-yard guy and was the Fred Biletnikoff Award winner. So the main thing of Coach Saban, not just get the recruiters, but get those teachers who are willing to develop and instruct these guys.
Talking with Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama here on our Friday edition, our A edition here on OTH each and every Friday. Getting the scoop, the skinny, the 411, whatever you want to call it, out of Tuscaloosa from our good buddy Stephen M. Stephen, my last question, and we got about a minute and a half. The way too early prediction, when you look at this roster heading in to 2019, where do you see the Crimson Tide as far as outlook heading into next season?
Say it one more time, Pat.
What's your prediction for next year's 2019 year? Will they be just as good, or will they be better than what they were in 2018?
I think they're going to be better, because when you are mentally and physically undressed by almost 30 points in a national championship game, that's going to eat at everybody. That's going to drive everybody. With Alabama going to kind of be flying under the radar because the conversation will be about Clemson, I think this Alabama team will take that, use that motivation, and really work to get back to the title game in New Orleans the next year and win it.
Well, thanks, my man, for giving us the up to the minute. I know you, like you said, your phone's ringing off the hook. I'll let you get back to it.
I promise you, man, I'm in the trap house for real.
Hey, Stephen, thanks for your info. We'll get back with you next week. And as things progress on, feel free to touch base with us here on OTH. But as always, thanks for taking time out on the Hill.
Man, I appreciate you guys. Y'all enjoy the weekend.
All right. That was Touchdown Alabama, Stephen M. Smith. You know you got good access, and you know you got big-time reporters when this is something we felt we wanted to bring you. Was immediate information, and that's what we do here on OTH, Demetrius. We bring it to you as it happens. We're never going to bring anything or talk about anything we hadn't experienced or can't bring someone that's right there, as Coach Morris would like to say, being where their feet are. That's what we do here on OTH. We're always where our feet are. And I want to kick it over to you. What was your take? Do you think this Alabama program?
Jumping like the trap house. That's what I took from that conversation.
That was a good one.
Steven, man. He almost gives you a good laugh when he calls.
The whole entire offensive staff gone outside the running backs coach. You know, I think, in my own personal opinion, this is going to be hard to go out and find the same types of recruiters that you've had, and as well as being able to teach. And combine both in one coach. That's something that I think Coach Saban's really had a good run on over the last 6 to 8 years. And you can just kind of tell. You could see it with Bobby Bowden as coaches start to leave his program. You could see it at Florida, Steve Spurrier, when Bob Stoops and those guys, Charlie Strong, start to leave their program. Lou Holtz, you go back to his days at Notre Dame, South Carolina, he had good coaches, and they start to get promotions. It's just hard to keep great coaches together, and I'm anxious to see how long Coach Dabo Swinney and staff can continue to keep their chemistry going. But that's going to wrap it up. We're going to get out of here and start our weekend. We'll have some post-game from tomorrow's Arkansas LSU game as they tip off 5 p.m. on the SEC Network in Bud Walton Arena. They take on the LSU Tigers. I want to give a thank you to our good buddy of Touchdown Alabama, Stephen M. Smith, for coming on and giving us the update to the minute of what's taking place with Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Also, too, want to give a shout-out to our sponsors, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Rogers and office location also too in Fayetteville. The Baymont Hotel, located at 735 South Shiloh Drive. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. And lastly, if you want to give a chance to sponsor us here on the Hill, you can do so by just hitting us up on our Facebook page, On the Hill Sports Talk. You can hit me up on my Twitter at Pat Jenkins4, or you can hit us up on our Twitter page, On the Hill Sports Talk with Pat Jenkins. And also, you can just give us a call, 601-7400, area code 479. That'll get you in, and we'll get you taken care of. Hopefully we can, have a good relationship, because that's just what this is all about, just relationships. But we've had a good one all week with you guys, and hope you continue it on Monday. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one.